We are?
Yep.
Hi.
I guess we're doing this one first.
Yeah, we should go in order. So, I should say we had a very, not this week, but
There we go.
last week. We had a very, right? It was last week.
Yeah, it was last week.
Yes. A very busy-ish theater week and ish. So, for our mother's birthday, we decided we would take her to see Beautiful because she hadn't seen it and because it was closing and she will not have the chance to see it, right, once it closes. So, we had what day? That was Columbus, right?
No,
No?
that was Friday.
Oh.
Last Friday.
Columbus Day wasn't on Friday.
It was on Monday.
Yeah.
We saw Waitress.
I know, I'm saying, well, what day, why wasn't I at work on Wednesday?
We saw, were you talking about Beautiful or you talking about Slave Play?
Oh, I'm talking about the story to how we got the slave play.
Yom Kippur.
Okay, it was Yom Kippur, so it didn't have work. And I decided we would go rush some tickets to see Beautiful because it'd been like over a year since Joy and I had seen Beautiful. And
I can go after work.
I remember, yeah, Joy had to go after work, but we remembered that the rush was nothing crazy. Like, there was no lines. Like, we got there early and didn't need to, basically. But I knew the show was closing, so I thought, it might be a little more busy, but I was not expecting it to be as busy as it was. So my mother and I showed up at the box office in the morning around like 8:30-ish, around then. And there was no line, which I thought was odd, but I said, I'll take it. And there's a sign on the door that said there were no rush tickets or no standing room tickets for tonight's performance. And there's only one show on that Wednesday. And I was like, that's also odd, but okay. And so I was like, oh, man, what are we going to do? Guess I'll have to pay the big bucks for the tickets, which I was like, sure, let's do it. So we came back about 10 minutes before the box office opens, and there's a small line. I would say we were about 6 and 7 in line. And then as soon as we get inside, the guy in the box office, there's two guys, but one of the guys was like, through his microphone, they're basically reiterating what was on the sign, and also that they were pretty much basically sold out and that they only had premium seats, which the premium seats was some $250 odd a piece. I looked at my mother and I was like, well, we cannot do that, so what are we gonna do? We could try for another day. And we decided we would ask what the availability was for like the coming Friday, which was also slim pickings, but we ended up with some orchestra seats, a left orchestra towards about the middle. Yeah, about the middle. And we had aisle seats. And let me tell you, there was a man and his wife, and the guy said, well, we only have premium seats at like $250 something a piece, per ticket. And he looked at his wife and she was like, she gave him a nod like, sure. I guess she really wanted to see the show or whatever. And he went, all right, and gave his things. And I was like, I am not there yet, but one day I will be. One day. But I didn't want the day to go to waste because I was already dressed up, and it really was supposed to be like a birthday present. I also am like really like, once I have my mind set on something, like it's hard for me to like switch gears. And I like in my head I was like, we're seeing a show today. What can we see? So we were looking up who has like rush policies, and not lotteries, but rush policies, because I wanted for sure tickets. And by now I'm like, it's after 10 o'clock. Who's gonna be open? I thought about the Lightning Thief. I was like, let me check the Lightning Thief. Also, the weather was horrible. It was horrendous. It was raining. We walked all the way from the Stephen Sondheim Theater to the Lightning Thief, which is basically on like, it's close to 50th. I can't remember. It's like maybe 48th or 49th or something like that. Walked all the way over there. And I was like, do you have rush tickets? And Mrs. like, yeah. but we're dark today. Okay, so what do we do? And then I said, what about slave play? I've been hearing some things. Could be interesting. Jakina, oh man, her last name, I can't at the moment think of it. Kalunga?
Kalunga?
No. Anyway, she was Nettie in the Color Purple revival.
Kalukongo.
Congo, yeah. And I was like, all right, let's go. And we went over there, and they had rush tickets, so we snagged those up. But it was at 8 o'clock. It was an evening show, and I was like, great, okay, I guess we'll just spend all day out in the rain. No big deal. And so I was excited. Joy, how much do we know about slave play?
Nothing.
We really did not know much about slave play. I knew that some people were outraged.
I knew that a black guy wrote it. That was about it.
A black guy wrote, yeah. And we like to support black theater. That being said, would you like to give your synopsis? Oh, we didn't realize the Golden Theater was the same theater we saw Eclipse at. Which, by the way, I don't think we'll be saying it's not the Broadhurst anymore. I don't know if it's because, well, when we saw Eclipse, we were also in mezzanine, but it was front mezzanine, so maybe there's more room. But this time we were in the rear mezzanine, and let me tell you, it was so tight and uncomfortable, which did not help the play at all. Because we're already uncomfortable, and then we're uncomfortable on top of being uncomfortable, but a different type of uncomfortable. So on top of like I'm physically uncomfortable,
and like
mentally, spiritually, kind of getting uncomfortable. Also, it was an experience to say the least. So I have my little notes here.
I didn't get my synopsis.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, slave play is about these three couples. They're interracial, black and white, and they're doing some sort of therapy, and it's a very
but it's not revealed until later on.
Yeah, it's an experimental type of therapy where it's a role play experimental therapy, unlike I guess power play.
Mm-hmm.
And so these three couples, there's two gay guys, there's a black man and his white partner, and a black woman and her white partner, and it has to stop. The therapy has to stop, and they have to kind of convene because of the black girl, Kanisha, just her husband said their safe word that shut down the whole production, and now everyone has to talk it out, and it's meant to make you uncomfortable.
There's actually a letter about it in the playbill.
Yeah,
a note on your discomfort or something like that, I think it's called.
We'll get into more, but where is it? I don't see it. Was it a slip?
No.
Oh,
here it is.
Oh, here it is, yeah. A note on your discomfort. This might hurt. This could prod open regrets and secrets, and what you find could be shock. But there's nothing in slave play that part of you doesn't already know. The setting, a plantation, time irrelevant, lights up on a black woman working. Before I saw it, all anyone would give away with that slave play would resonate with me. As a black woman, and particularly as someone who's tried to post-coitally tell a white lover that when we have sex, there's a blip where I suddenly inhabit an ancestor's body and the body of a pale preferred master. So basically, it goes on. I won't read all of it to you, but it's basically, I couldn't relate, but we'll go. Sure.
Okay. So we went over. It was an impromptu thing. We went in not knowing much, but we heard buzz. I knew that it would transfer from off Broadway, and I think on off Broadway they were saying People were going no, But then I was like, well, it made it to Broadway, so I'm thinking there's been some overhauls and like changes. I don't think Jakina was originally off Broadway. If I remember correctly, the girl that they show, that's not Jakina.
Oh.
Anyway, so want to talk about the set a little bit?
Okay.
So the set is very minimal. It's a play, right? They usually don't have elaborate sets, maybe like not usually. There are 3 sets of doors, but they're like kind of hidden doors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, right, like if we can go into meaning, it's like, ooh, there's a lot to open up, like closeted things, like, you know, like we can go into that probably, but we don't have to.
Oh, when you walk in, you hear like
it's like
chamber,
yeah,
like chamber music, like you immediately like step into like someone's plantation.
Yeah, and there's also like a wrap around like digital like kind of projection of like a plantation and like the fields around it. And there's also like you hear like a horse is like whinnying, like things like that, and it's on a loop. You can hear it. So that was interesting. And then at the top over the stage, there are these words. Now I wish I had wrote them down, but it was like it sounded like it was in like written in like Geechee like language almost. It's like it's English but not quite. Like the word
definitely
order,
a slave language,
like dialect, right?
Yeah.
It was like you want touch me something, but and it like went across. I can't remember, but yeah. So there's that, and then there's like columns and fields and stuff, and the projection as well. So it opens up with like Jakina like dancing and twerking to Rihanna's work song, which also was like, wait.
It came out of nowhere because she was just sweeping at first, and then they made like a very cursed child like kind of experience where like you're like, oh, something's happening, and then you start hearing it work, and then it fades out, and then like she goes back to sweeping, and then it just keeps getting louder and louder and louder for her, and then she starts like twerking, and you're like, well, wait, she's in slave
like
clothes.
Traditional, like I guess like slave like outfitting.
Yeah, you're like, wait, what time? Wait, I was confused. I was like, wait, what year is it? I was forgot. And I was like, wait. Because I did not read the playbill because I was uncomfortable and could not muster up the strength to open my playbill. So
it was that. Ultimately, would you say we were disappointed?
Yeah, it wasn't for me.
Yeah. Not saying this type of theater doesn't have a place.
It does. I'm sure it resonates with a lot of people. I know the Slave Play had a blackout performance where the audience was all black or mostly black because it's probably best to gather this experience with people like you.
Yeah.
And we were not at that performance. No, our audience was mostly white.
Yeah.
And I would say we were probably some of the youngest there too.
Yeah.
And it just was kind of like, I noticed a lot of the white people laughed a lot, and I think it's because it made them uncomfortable. I mean, there were comedic moments in the show, and I laughed at those, but they were like laughing throughout like the whole thing, and I was like, yeah, I'm comfortable. I mean, I was more bored than anything, and uncomfortable physically because my knees, and I'm not tall. I'm like 5'4", 5'5" on a good day, and I was scrunch, and that does not help that this play has no intermission,
which is another. It's very interesting.
They could have put an intermission in it.
Definitely, like the pacing of it was definitely a little off, and I think
felt like torture. I felt like a slave. Like I had to watch this.
You have to wonder if that's what they're going for, or if they're just kind of like people are gonna walk out and leave during intermission, so they opted not to put one
like
in.
We might would have.
Yeah, maybe.
It just didn't. The show didn't mess with me. I didn't feel like her reasons for being with this guy was worth it for her to be so unhappy.
I feel like you might need to talk a little bit more about each couple before you go into that. So basically, like the whole twist is this is a role play therapy session, and I have to say that's when the play actually gets better, once like the role playing is over and now they're actually like in therapy, and the therapy is moved along by dialogue. No, like these two women who we also learn later on are a couple.
Mm-hmm.
One is a black woman and one is a white presenting woman, but we also learn that she's not white. Not white. She's some sort of Latinx person, right? Okay, so we'll talk about the three couples. So the first couple being what's her name? Kanisha, and her husband. Is it Rick?
Is
it Tom?
Jeff?
Is it Jeff?
Let's see. Ooh, this is bad. Let's see. Jim?
Is
Jim. I said Jeff. I think it was Jim.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Gary?
No, Gary was a black guy.
Philip?
No,
I think he was Jim.
Okay, maybe. You know what? The names aren't really very important. We have Jakina's name was Kanisha. That I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, was that their names?
All right, let's see his face. We should look at his face, right?
Joe, you killing me. Just go back.
Yeah, I think it was Jim.
Why did they put in
Paul
alphabetical order?
Alexander Nolan. I think he was Jim.
Okay, yeah, it might be Jim.
Yeah, that's the guy from You're a Good Girl, but you want to go dancing.
Oh.
And he did Escape from Margaritaville. Right. I did not realize that. I did not look at this playbill.
Wow. Okay. Anyhow, so there's where was I at? I was at
the couples.
Yeah. So the couple with the black woman. Yeah. With the black woman and the white man, they
were actually married.
They have been married for some time now, and their romance, I guess, and like the sex on their marriage has been either like non-existent or not very good. Mm-hmm. So that's why they're in the therapy. She says very little throughout the whole show. During their like role play, I don't even consider that much dialogue. It's just all basically like negress talk and things like that, and massa and things like that. But when we actually get to the therapy, she's very like closed off and very upset, and you're kind of like waiting for us to figure out
everyone
why.
Really says stuff.
Everyone starts to like blossom, but her.
I feel like she suffered the most.
I believe so, and I don't believe that she. Okay, we'll get to the end in a little bit. And then our next couple was a black man. Well, he looks more black, but he's technically biracial, right? Of some sort. And his white, I don't think they were married yet. They were boyfriend, girlfriend. And they got together because they met on some sort of site for like some sort of like
fetish.
Yeah, like fetish site.
For cuckolds.
But they ended up getting into a relationship, and she's. Well, I would say she's well-meaning, like kind of like, I don't want to say typical, but like clueless, like white lady. I don't see color, but that's the problem, which is what his problem was. People didn't see him as a black guy, but she kind of did, but says she didn't. She did, in terms of sexually, but not as a person. As a person, they had a breakthrough. Yeah, they did. They had like the earliest breakthrough, I would say. His was very sad. I heard him crying when he realized he was fetishized and like, wow. His is pretty sad. And then was the gay couple, which is a black guy and a white presenting guy, who apparently was not white. He doesn't, but he never says. And their whole issue was, I don't know. Okay, their story was kind of very funky. Like the first thing out of his mouth when they come to therapy, the black guy, is he says he just had to be white. He had experience being white, and I was like, wait, what? Okay, that's never brought up again. But then his significant other was all like, he didn't like the therapy because he had to assume the role of
the white
person, but he was not white. But he never says what he is. He will never say. It was very frustrating, and their relationship goes basically
is over for them.
Yeah, the black guy chooses himself, whatever. I think my biggest problem with this play was basically like the whole reason for their therapy. I actually would watch a play about couples attending therapy. Like, the whole purpose of this sort of like role play fantasy version was so that the white portion of the relationship would acknowledge and kind of like I guess take accountability for their like white privilege. The threads kind of fall through because I feel, as a black person, why would I marry someone who didn't already know this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm not there to teach you.
Yeah, like we're really not. Either you know or you do not. I also feel like, and also another thing with Kanisha is her being married to this man was having significant like effects on her like mental health. Like, she talked of her OCD like flaring up and her anxiety, and she admits that it's dating him that's like causing it. She kind of saw him as like a disease, and she kind of felt bad. She's thinking of like her ancestors and things like that. Oh, they never say ancestors, they say what did they say? And I thought that was weird, like the old ones, or they say the family. They never say ancestors. Like, they use another word in place of ancestors, which I feel like ancestors would make more sense, but whatever.
I can't remember now.
Yeah. And basically it's like, if you feel this way, why not get divorced? The play ends literally, and it ends giving me like a bad taste in my mouth, and not like, and I was kind of like confused, but also kind of outraged, and it's also kind of like, what? But not in the same way I was like when we saw it in The Green, how the ending was kind of like, that was a abrupt, odd ending. But okay, sure, why not? This ending was very like, should I call the cops? And thank goodness this is just like a work of fiction. Her husband has his breakthrough, and he comes into his like macho, I guess he brings out the power of his ancestors basically, and gives her what she wants, which is, was it dominance? I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
He asks for her permission. She does nod her head, although you could almost miss the nod, let's be honest. Which I don't know if that was like artistic, or if it was meant to be that way, or if maybe she just didn't nod her head as much as like she does in other performances. I don't know. But and then they have their now consensual sex, but she cries. And then she says, "Thank you for listening," or something like that. And then the show's over. And I have to say, this was the saddest curtain call I had ever seen in my entire life. They all come out. They take their bows.
I guess it's a heavy show.
No one is yeah, it is a very heavy show, but I was like, oh my goodness. And then that's it. And then all around us we could hear about how great the show was, and there was this man who's seen it a couple of times already, and he just had to come back one more time. He just loves it, and I just kind of interested to know like what this is a white guy who I'm hearing talking about this, and I just would like to know what he got out of it. Personally, not really. I would never want to hear him talk about it, but
I find for this play to be written by a gay black man that most of the hurt and trauma is put on a black woman didn't sit well with me, because he could have easily focused on the gay couple, which I think they needed the most work.
They did, because they were very underdeveloped.
Yeah, I don't know. It just, the play didn't do anything for me. It didn't sit right for me. You know, I'm glad that, you know, he made it to Broadway and he had this platform to tell the story that he wanted to tell, and it does have a place in theater. You know, I'm sure some people gotten something from it. I was not one of those people. I could not relate to it. You know, and it wasn't even like a musical where I could like bop to a song. Like, I was sitting there for like 2 hours with no intermission, and you know, a show like this, you could use a break.
Right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Slave Play is not it for us.
It's not our favorite.
I mean, it's always nice to go to the theater.
It is.
So, let's show you what we got from the show.
Right,
because we always have to get something as a reminder.
We always goes first. We always go there first.
A magnet.
And I love this play, but it's in color. Mm-hmm. We got a black girl on the cover. Like, look at that. Also, this is very... I never really looked at this.
There's a window card. It has Kanisha on it. She has a
like
melon.
The Playgirl.
There's a melon
like
joke
thing
in the beginning. It's... Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'm really surprised they went for the afro. I mean, there's a corset and then there's like shirt.
I think they
I guess it's like a bridge between
the
therapy and
the outfit. Yeah.
Oh, and it changes. Oh, well, we don't have to talk about the set anymore. I was gonna say in therapy they just have these like 8 yellow chairs.
Yeah.
We did actually see people waiting at the stage door on our way out, which was interesting. You didn't see them? I saw them.
No, I did not. So, that was our Slave Play review. If you see Slave Play and would like to talk about it, please leave a comment. I'd love to know what you think about it. Really would. Because we had thoughts. So, thanks for watching our video, and we'll be back with our next review for Beautiful. Bye.